Hi, I'm Claire from Kansas, and I'm the prettiest girl in town. But my life is not that perfect. Please like and subscribe, and I'll tell you everything in order. I have a twin brother named Charlie who was born a couple of minutes later. But since I appeared first and immediately became the center of attention, his birth was not really noticed that much. Our parents almost forgot him in the hospital, and I was so charming and sweet that Mom and Dad immediately fell in love with me. Everything was the same when we were children. I easily won everyone's sympathy, and it wasn't that difficult against the unsociable Charlie, who was terribly jealous of our parents. On our 5th birthday, Mom and Dad arranged a huge party and invited almost half the city. When the fireworks were going off, I was laughing and clapping my hands. But the last firework blasted so loud that something broke inside of me. My laughter started to sound like a sad donkey. Hee-haw! All the doctors said that there was nothing to worry about and that this would go away with time, but nothing changed. Charlie was happy. He called me a donkey and tried his best to make me laugh in public so that everyone would then laugh at me. My brother kept hating me and scheming against me. In the 1st grade, my mom enrolled us in a children's theater, where I soon began to play the main roles. Acting teachers were delighted with my artistry, whereas Charlie, who dreamed of a Hollywood movie star career, was not trusted with any role more difficult than a tree. During the premiere, he tripped me right on the stage. I hit my forehead hard, and it was a miracle I didn't break anything. At first, our parents were really angry with Charlie, but then they didn't punish him. They realized that becoming a star was his dream, so they hired him an acting teacher. And that year, we moved to Los Angeles, and Charlie started going to auditions. I went to the first audition with him and Mom, just to keep them company. I was quietly standing aside, going through my Instagram feed, when suddenly I was blinded by the spotlight, and I heard the director's voice from the speakers. What a charming girl! Just what we need for this commercial. If only someone had seen Charlie's face at that moment. He would have gone black with anger, but everyone was looking at me and admiring my natural gift. When I got home, I saw all my favorite books in the trash can, torn to shreds. I burst into Charlie's room, raging. "How dare you!" I yelled at my brother. "It's not my fault that people like me more than you." "Claire, you're the meanest girl I know. I don't need a sister like you," my brother hissed angrily. In the 9th grade, our whole family moved to England despite Charlie's objections. He was still a very unsociable loser who didn't get along with people. But our parents didn't care about my brother's torment, especially since Dad was offered a well-paying job. The first day at the new school was pretty calm, until one of my new classmates, named Bridget, was called to the blackboard. She stumbled and fell on the floor. When she landed on all fours, it was so hilarious and ridiculous that I couldn't handle it, and I laughed. Hee-haw! Hee-haw! I burst out laughing loudly. And suddenly I felt the surprised look that the whole class anchored to me. Since then, my new life had begun, and in no time everybody knew about a donkey from LA now studying at the school. For classmates, I became their personal freak, which they were bragging about to other students. I was everyone's laughingstock, and anyone who'd take the trouble tried to make me laugh for fun. It was Charlie's finest hour. He believed that justice does exist in the universe. One day I was sitting in the darkest corner of the school cafeteria, and as usual, so that no one would bother me. But suddenly a boy sat down next to me and greeted me warmly. Then he smiled, showing me his huge front teeth, which made him look like a rabbit. I couldn't help it, I laughed. Hee-haw, hee-haw. Exactly, the boy said. Before you came here, my teeth were the center of attention. Everyone made fun of me and laughed. But now I'm no longer interesting to anyone. My honorable place as everyone's clown is now taken by you. I understand how difficult it is for you, and I'm offering you my friendship. I was glad that there would be at least one person at school whom I could trust. The guy's name was Jacob, by the way, and he introduced me to his friend, and it was Bridget, the same girl I laughed at on the first day of school, and of course she didn't like me. "I'm so sorry for you," she said sympathetically when we met. "I'm sure your boyfriends run away from you as soon as they find out what kind of animal you really are." The girl's words hurt me a lot. But I just left without saying anything, because I understood. Bridget had a reason to be mad at me. I laughed at her when she fell down, and now I was getting what I deserved. But how surprised I was when the next day Bridget moved to my desk. No one wanted to sit next to the school freak. Forgive me for acting like that yesterday. I'm really sorry. I've been in love with Jacob for a long time without him loving me back, and I got jealous. 'Cause you're so beautiful. In general, I really like you, and I'd like us to become friends. You're not mad at me for yesterday anymore, are you?" Bridget asked in a friendly way. How glad I was that I now had a girlfriend. Bridget was the light at the end of the tunnel and supported me together with Jacob. Days went by, and one day my mom called me. She was really excited and told me the stunning news. A famous director saw that old commercial with me and decided that I was perfect for the main role in his movie. "You won his heart, darling. He says you have a movie star career ahead of you," Mom screamed into the phone. I was crushed by this news. First, how would Charlie react? This was his dream. Secondly, how will my classmates take the news? I'm just a freak in an empty place to them. But Bridget chased my worries away. She said that my popularity would eventually give Charlie a chance to show himself. And as for my classmates, my friends also reassured me. When you become rich and famous, your laugh will no longer be a reason for mockery. It'll be your special thing, and everyone will try to copy it. And you'll turn it into an icon to follow, confidently said Bridget. Charlie was furious when he found out about the filming, but I decided to ignore it. After they started to advertise my project on TV, my classmates' attitude towards me changed dramatically. They began to obsessively follow me, and some boy even asked me for an autograph. But I knew who my real friends were, those who were always there for me, Jacob and Bridget. Then the filming began, and Bridget was very flattered that her best friend was becoming a star. She didn't understand my distress and was in a state of euphoria and didn't notice anything around her, especially my feelings. And I clearly realized at that moment that I didn't need publicity. So I started to avoid Bridget and spend more time with Jacob, but only without her knowing, because she was still in love with our friend and could react to such close communication very painfully. Jacob, on the contrary, understood very well what was happening to me firsthand. He was a very smart guy, and his parents had high hopes for him. They dreamed he would become a famous person and achieve everything that they couldn't. This burden of responsibility and constant control put a lot of pressure on him. It was difficult for him to cope with the pressure, just like it was for me with publicity. Jacob and I started sneaking out of school and into the woods together. Only there we could let go of our tension and forget about everything. Once I heard the doorbell ring late in the evening, and it was Jacob. His parents found out that he was skipping school, and despite the fact that it didn't affect his performance in any way, they decided to send their son to a boarding school with strict discipline. According to his mom and dad, Jacob would study hard there for the sake of his great future. That was depressing news. After all, it was Jacob who helped me cope with all the stress that fell on me, and understood me better than anyone. "I hate this stupid role that ruined my life," I said, and I couldn't hold back my tears. It would be better if everything was the same as it was before, and everyone called me a donkey. It's impossible to talk to Bridget. It seems like she caught the star fever, and now you're leaving. Jacob hugged me and promised that we would get through it. But then my mom came in and said that it was time for my friend to go home, and for me to go to sleep. In the morning, I had another shock waiting for me. Mom got a call from the angry director who told her to turn on the TV. In all the news, I saw myself and heard a snippet of my conversation with Jacob yesterday. "I hate this stupid role that ruined my life." The director threatened my mom with a lawsuit if we didn't solve the problem. I was shocked. Jacob couldn't have acted so wickedly and recorded me on video. My thoughts were interrupted by Charlie grinning and rubbing his hands. It was his work. Parents literally pressed my brother to the wall and were merciless. After all, if the film company sues us, they have to pay the legal cost, and it's a lot of money. Parental anger made Charlie quickly melt and come up with an idea. It turns out that in addition to the video, he also took a photo where Jacob and I were hugging. My brother offered to post the photo on social media. Then the public attention would switch to this news, and everyone would forget about the video. But what about Jacob? What about Bridget? I thought. With this decision, I'll draw unnecessary attention to my friends and break my other friend's heart. But my parents were unshakable and decided everything for me. The news about my relationship with Jacob spread not only in social media, but throughout every media. Bridget stopped talking to me, and Jacob didn't show up at school because he'd gone to boarding school that evening. I couldn't get through to him, so I went to his house. My friend was very sad, but he didn't hold a grudge against me. He said that the situation had developed this way because we weren't honest with ourselves and other people. It's my fault that I never spoke frankly with my parents. They don't know that I don't dream of being a lawyer. I want to be a farmer and raise turtles. You also have to be brave and face the truth. Being famous is not your dream, but your brother's. Imagine how hard it was for him all these years next to you, my friend said. And for the first time in my life, I realized all the pain and tragedy of my brother's life. When I got home, the first thing I did was go to his room. "Charlie, I'm sorry. I was the worst sister ever and didn't see the obvious. And now I want to fix it. I promise you that after this movie, I'll never act in movies again, and I will definitely recommend you. You worked hard all these years and continue to improve your acting skills. You will succeed. I believe in you," I said to my brother very sincerely and warmly. Charlie was shining. He also regretted that he constantly messed with everything I did. But we decided to start over and work on our relationship together. And then everything worked out like magic. Bridget approached me at school and said that she thought a lot about our relationship and realized that she didn't notice a lot of things. She only now realized how hard it was for me the last 6 months. "Claire, I'm sorry I acted like a fool. You needed support, and Jacob, unlike me, actually supported you. Moreover, he and I will never become a couple because he likes you. I don't want to lose a friend like you. I really care about you," she said, and we hugged. And a month later, Jacob returned. While he was in boarding school, he wrote a long and very honest letter to his parents about his feelings and plans for the future. His parents rethought a lot and allowed him to return home. "I missed you so much," he said when we met, smiling and showing his huge rabbit teeth, and I laughed with my signature donkey laugh, smiled back at him and said, "I spoke to Bridget and she doesn't mind if we," and then Jacob kissed me.